So let's take a look now at another approach. And in this approach, we're going to do something, the pretty much similar thing we did with a gray swatch, except we're going to pick first the black swatch here, then the white, and then the midtones. We're going to try to adjust, which is pretty much what I do whenever I have to match the colors of two different images. I always start from the black values, then match my highlight, and then work again into my midtones. Okay, so we just need to create a grade node as before, and I'm going to disable. And then let's start with the darkest patch down here. So I'm going to pick here the black point, click on this little square next to black point, and again, draw another square, Q to view it, untick, and then we're going to take our X-Ray color checker classic that we generated through the gizmo, and we need to remap the black point to the lift. So we're going to go here and draw another square on lift. Here we go. And then we're going to do the same for the white point, except we're going to remap for the white swatch, except we're going to remap white point to gain. So let's pick the white point here. And if I saturate more, you can see that there's some weird color shifting going on at the edges. So I'm just going to stick to the center to be sure. Okay, and then again, let's watch our color rendition chart. And if you hit Control double click, you can actually have the node floating if this helps you. And I'm just going to go to gain and pick this value. Let's untick, and now let's take a look. So let's go back to original image. Let's activate the grade node. We can see the change, and let's now check the values. So as we know, this ideal macro chart swatch is 0.031, 0.031, 0.032. And let's take a look at this one, and we can see, it might be a bit hard to see in the recording, but it's very close. It's 0.031, 0.031, 0.032. And if you move around, the values might shift a bit, but not by like a massive amount. Let's take a look at the white point here. And we know that our ideal macro chart one is 0.879, 0.883, 0.840. Whereas the one we have here is 0.88, 0.89, 0.85. So we are a bit more far, but not by a lot. There's a second decimal of difference. And if you move around, the values again shift a bit. Now let's try to get something closer to our mid-gray value. Okay, so I've activated again the white mode and I saturated up, and we can see there is still a bit of difference in the mid-gray when we look at this area here. And our original one, you know, the one we shot feels a bit just a touch more bluish. Let's look at the number to see if this confirms our assumption. And the ideal macro chart, which is on the left, so it's displayed on the top, is, as we know, 0.190, 189, so it's 0.19. Now our one is 19.3, 19.7, and 19.9. So the third decimal feels a bit, you know, there's a bit of difference in the third decimal between the three. Let's see if we can get a bit closer. And to do that, we can't really pick the swatches as we did before, but we're going to use the multiply value here to try to get it closer. And it's gonna be a bit of a balance, because it's gonna do a multiply operation, so it's gonna shift the color a bit of everything. So we'll have to find a happy compromise. I'm gonna click now on the color wheel to access the three values independently, and we're gonna start moving this up and down. Now this is gonna be very, very sensible. We're gonna probably go in order of second decimals from the 0. And to do that, what I usually do is, if you move the arrow left and right, you go between decimals, and up and down, you actually change the value. So let's start by, for example, trying to get the blue closer to 0.19 instead of 0.1999. And if I move now 1.1, you see this goes up, it gets quite blue. If I go lower, 0.9, it reduces it. Bear in mind, we're watching everything super saturated, so the difference won't be that massive when we switch it off, but it's good to saturate it up a lot to visually see something that we might miss otherwise. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try to go on the decimal after 0.9 and try to go slowly back up until I get the values that I want. So again, I'm going to move to right arrow and then up arrow to go 0.91 and so on. And I'm going to try to get something similar. And now we're at 0.192, as you can see, and we're at 0.96. We can go another decimal down and try to see if we can lower it a bit. And it might be a bit slow to refresh. We go. And here we go, we're at 0.91. Now let's try to do the same for the other channels now. So we're gonna take a look at the green one. And again, if we go 0.9, it's gonna be a massive change. So we're probably gonna go again up and look at these numbers when they start matching. So we are 0.189. So we can do probably something like 0.98, 0.194. Maybe we're gonna settle for now, just as a test, to 0.97. And we're at 0.192, 0.191. So these values are to get close. Now we're going to do the same for the red, which is 0.193. So again, let's start with something like 0.98 on the gray node to get something in the ballpark. And it's 0.190. So we're fairly close. And if we look before and after, so I have just duplicated the node and removed the last changes I did. So we can just take a look. This was before, and this is now. So when you actually remove a saturation node, it might not feel as big of a difference. You see, it feels quite minimal. It's a bit hard to see. That's why it's good to saturate up. And now we're getting a better match on the three swatches. And if we feel now that the others are deviating too much, we will have to go and adjust the multiply until we find a compromise we're happy with. Thanks for watching.